All right, cool. I'm gonna jump into it. Welcome to Nomads Nation, episode 4. I'm here with Bo Ismono. Bo, how you doing today?
I'm pretty good. Thanks for inviting me again.
Of course, man. Bo doesn't need much of an introduction, but our other guest, Greg Lee, a little bit under the radar, and I'm really excited to have him on the podcast. Greg, are you the founder of Suburban?
Yes, yes. Well, you can say that, yeah.
Okay, Greg is the founder of Suburban, and if you're not in Hong Kong, Suburban is I always describe it as like the backpack mecca of the world. Like all the brands that Bo and I talk about, all the brands that we review on Nomads Nation, they're all at Suburban. It's not just like, oh, we have some Bellroy and some Air. It's all there. And it's
That's
just
so
like
cool.
it's the oh dude, when you're there, Bo, it's like the most amazing feeling. I never want to leave. I want to sleep there. Greg, can I like can we do like a sleepover at Suburban one night? It just sounds fun.
Yeah. Well, for sure. I mean, some of the staff like sleep here from time to time.
Okay, perfect. It's already a
Yeah,
thing then. And
yeah. It is. It is.
yeah, I can't you guys have two locations and I was just, stoked because Greg, you and I have been, we've connected before, we've chatted, we're both in Hong Kong, and I'm like, dude, you have such a
Yeah.
unique perspective because you're a bag lover, you're a bag nerd like us, but also you come from like a different background from, being in retail, and that just sounds really exciting because I want to hear kind of your perspective on that. It's like a different take versus Bo and I, we're in this scene as well, but from a content perspective. So,
hmm
do you want to give us like the 60-second story, Greg? Like, how did you end up starting Suburban?
All right. Yeah. So it's a long story, but I'll try to make it short. So basically, I used to be e-commerce consultant. I was working in London, around 10 years ago.
Hmm.
And I met my wife there. So there is one condition that I have to, be together with my wife is that I have to come back to Hong Kong. So I have to start up some sort of business, and the one thing that hits me is running an e-commerce store because this is what I've been doing. I've been an e-commerce consultant for quite a while. I started selling online like since university. I started a source, it just happened to me that we started to sell bags. We started to sell like OEM factory bags in the like way back in the beginning, and then we there's an opportunity um, where it was used to be, we used to work with Herschel
Hmm.
Supply. So it was a big hit back then. So we cleared the stock like from excess stock from the States, and we buy back to Hong Kong. So this is how we started, and then
Hmm.
and we and there's some conditions, as we build, people start to the brand started to want us to have a retail store. I'm never a retail person. Like I'm more of like an e-commerce guy.
Yeah.
But never there's a chance in my life that I thought I'm gonna be in the retail business. So I started up Suburban because back in the days, brands wanted me to have a physical presence before they allow me to sell.
Hmm.
Yep. So and after that, it kind of hits me on the side that I used to trust e-commerce a lot, like because I buy everything online, like since London. But afterwards, I see that there's a demand in retail store as well because being see the actual thing, means a lot to the consumer side as well.
Of course, dude. Yeah, I mean, totally agree. And like, going to your store, the experience is just so freaking awesome because you get to touch these bags and test them and, feel the materials and see how comfortable it is. How'd you end up going from like Herschel to the Bellroys and the Airs and the Black Embers and everything though?
Well, it's a basically, well, I used to sell like online and stuff. Is I'm not sure if I can dispose this, but anyway, so I used to sell on Amazon, right?
Hmm.
So I get access from the States, and then I sell it back on Amazon. So and there's one day that Amazon like frozen all the money in my account, so it was around uh 150 pound. That was my everything.
Hmm.
150,000 pound.
Hmm.
So they got
That's a
frozen all my money, and
that's a big chunk of change.
yes, it is. It is. It has been my sales, for a couple of months, I'd say. And the reason that is that we the brand wanted to get into Amazon marketplace, and they have to clear up whoever's selling on it.
Mm-hmm.
So they wrote me a legal letter. They told me that, they told Amazon that the bags I'm selling is, it's not legit. From it's not legit. Like it's fake. Basically, this is what they say. So I've been trying to work my way back in the days, to resolve this with the brand, but it didn't work out. So I had to, I had to source something back, because at retail stores I had my staff back then already.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to source something interesting enough for for customers. So I went to Kickstarter. And try to talk to the brands that seems interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the first brand that responded to me is Air. And
Interesting.
that's yeah, and it's very interesting, and they were very kind. I've told them what I'm going through, and then and they are very supportive, and feel sorry about the story, and they just started supporting us with the Kickstarter merchandise they had back then. So it was a 5th pack one, and it was a double pack.
That's so interesting. So basically, Air kind of puts you like they got you started in some ways. They kind of gave you a little kickstart, and this was early, dude. Because when was Air's Kickstarter? What year was that?
That's a
It
long year,
was
time ago.
around
Yeah.
2017 or something.
Okay. And then they hooked you up with basically some stock from their Kickstarter, and then you started selling that, and then that just kind of led to everything else.
Yes, it is. I mean, being on Kickstarter, so we have been working on like a lot of Kickstarter brands. Air was the first one, and we have Evergoods. We had quite a few other brands that had Kickstarter project as well. So that leaded us all the way, until now. So we are still very active on looking at Kickstarter brands, and it's quite interesting, like how the story behind every Kickstarter brand, like the philosophy and why they wanted to design like in that perspective. I think
Oh,
it's
for
very
sure.
interesting. I think more of the customers wanted, instead of selling them the bag, more customers are more into the story, like why the brand owners started like the bag, started the whole brand.
For sure. And like the Kickstarter culture and community is so intertwined with the carry community, because so many of these brands are
Mm.
launching on Kickstarter. So there's always this really awesome relationship between the two things as to where if you're really into the carry community, you're really into Kickstarter too, and it's cool to see how you guys at Suburban had that transition from starting from Kickstarter brands and then sort of I could just see how, you got full-fledged into the carry community from there. And Bo, like, Greg is like a big, carryology guy. Greg, you're pretty big in the carryology community as well, right?
Yeah. Basically, one of the luckiest thing like we ever been was running into Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was back in the 2019. So he came to Hong Kong. We have been working for quite a while already. Since I think it was 2019. Yeah. So he came to Hong Kong, and there's a day he asked me if I can manufacture some patches for him. It was like 2 3 days prior to him arriving in Hong Kong, because he ran out of patches with him. So
Mm-hmm.
it kind of started. Yeah, we and that's the day we started to work with Carology, and then with all
It's
the
cool.
patches. Yes. So we know nothing about patches like way back 2019, and now we had our own factory like manufacturing patches.
That's brilliant. And then on that
That's
note, like Bo,
amazing.
like with the carryology relationship, and this is going to transition to our next little chapter here, is at Suburban in one of their locations, they have like a whole carryology collab wall. How many carryology collabs are
Oh,
on the wall, Greg?
On the wall, I think there's like a 45 or something on the wall, and there's a few of the walls like we try to change the theme every time, but yeah, we are you know being I'm a bank nerd myself, so I had a lot of personal collection of whatever it is available from Carology, or even some, like a lot of them is not from Carology as well.
Mm-hmm.
that's so cool. I'm just on your website and I'm amazed by all of the stuff that you are having in your portfolio of items and brands that you're selling. That's so cool.
Yeah, dude.
Yes,
It's
it
just
is. It is very Like, yeah.
It's all the brands that we talk about. Like I said, it's just like it's a one of a kind experience being at Suburban. So for that, we're really stoked to have you. And on that Carryology note, we're gonna start just by doing a quick little bit of trivia. And I think that yeah, I'm curious to see who gets this. So all right, speaking of Carryology, they did Bo, we'll start with you. Carryology does backpack collabs. They do lots of collabs, right? But last year, how many backpack collabs do you think Carryology did? Trivia
Last year,
question number one. Last year, 2023 calendar year, just backpacks. Doesn't count the hoodies and the other stuff that they do as well. Just backpacks.
I would say, as far as I can remember, I would say 4 or 5.
4 or 5. Greg, what do you
Yeah.
guess?
I would say 12.
12.
Wow.
Okay. Well, the answer's in the middle, actually 7. These are we got
Right.
Oh, wow.
Go Ruck, Mystery Ranch, Evergoods, Matador, Superior Defense. That one kind of went under the radar. Another Go
Yeah,
Ruck,
that's right.
and a Tracky with the Carryology Muir, but that was the V2.
Wow.
So we got 7 in 2023. Like I said, they did a lot of other collabs too, and like little EDC stuff and flashlights and all these things.
Yeah.
All right, Greg, we're going to start with you. What about in 2022? How many backpack collabs do you think Carryology did in that calendar year?
Back in 2022, like only backpacks.
Only backpacks.
Well, I would say in terms of SKUs, I think it's around 12 as well. Like
12 as
what's in my
well.
head is around 12. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Bo, got a guess?
I would say it was less. Since you said 2023 was 7, then I will stick to my answer of 4 to 5 for
Okay.
2022.
Yet again, kind of meeting in the middle. There was a bit more than 2023. We had 9 collabs. So
Really?
Right.
yeah, but Bedoan did 2, Air, Tracky, Mystery Ranch, Evergoods, Manhattan Portage, and then
But
one with Belroy.
wasn't 2022, wasn't it still a COVID year?
Dude,
Yes.
it was, and they
How did-
still knocked out these collabs. I have no idea how.
How did he
I think
do
there
that
was
with
there was
traveling?
Evergoods as well.
Yeah, I got Evergoods, the Phoenix one.
All right. Oh,
Yeah.
Yep. That's right.
Yep. So
How is that possible? I'm honestly amazed in terms of, I mean, did they do that? Did they do the collabs only via remote meetings, or because
No, actually, they had a lot of traveling. Like Taylor had a lot of traveling on every
okay,
single like
wow,
collabs.
even during
interesting.
COVID, like he was able to get around to where he needed to be.
I believe so. I would say I believe so. But some of the projects, I think I'm not sure. Like I think it started a couple of years back. Like it's not like in the same year.
Hmm.
So under production and but like I said, I'm not 100% sure. But I think I was exchanging words with him, and every time he's in different countries, sometimes in Vietnam, and it's definitely some crazy trips for him.
Yeah,
He's always on the road.
he's a well-traveled dude. There's no doubt about that. So, all right, this one,
Yes.
last trivia question, and we're just going to stick to the Carryology collabs. And this is first to answer it. Actually, you both get. All right, how do I want to do this? All right, you both get one answer. Which brand? Which brand has done since 2022? Which brand has done the most collabs with Carryology?
2022.
You guys can
Evergoods.
just guess whenever you think.
I would say Evergoods.
Evergoods?
Ah, I'm
Oh
gonna
no,
go
Gorak.
go rock. Yeah.
Yeah,
It-
yeah,
Yeah.
Gorak.
It's Gorak. Yep, that's right. Now it's kind of it's a sneaky answer because they did the Kaiden 2.0 and the 3.0, so it's just like an upgraded collab. But yeah, Gorak's done 3 collabs with them since 2023. So quick little trivia. That's all I got. It wasn't as strong as my trivia with you and Danny Pax last time, but I got to step up my trivia game.
No worries.
But like moving into that, we're talking retail and content and affiliates and moving into Carryology and trends. Like I kind of want to talk like trends today, guys, because like I said, we have different perspectives on the carry community and what's sort of happening. So I want to talk about trends that we're noticing right now in the last year, the last 2 years, and just kind of chat about them a little bit. And I kind of wanted to take the reins and talk about some trends that I'm seeing and see if you guys are seeing the same things or if you think it's not a trend, maybe it's just a one-off. And one trend that I'm definitely seeing is that everyday carry like sizes are like I feel like they're getting bigger. Is anybody else seeing this? So for me, I feel like 5 years ago, 18 liters, 17 liters, up to 20 liters was kind of like the standard. But Bo, I'm starting to see like
Yeah.
22, 23, 24 liters. Is this a trend that you've been seeing on your end as well?
I'm just want to say something beforehand for those of you watching the video version and who can see that I'm scrolling on my glasses. I'm scrolling on the suburban.com.hk website, and I'm actually scrolling for a sling bag that is smaller than 2 liters. So that's what I'm doing while you were talking. I was listening to you, but it actually comes. It is the answer to your question, because I am really looking for smaller everyday carry, but not in the terms of a backpack, but in terms of a sling bag. And I do notice that everything gets bigger. I actually did a podcast yesterday with Desi Chang, and he was talking about the sling bag that was 6 liter, and he's carrying that every day. And I do notice that people are tending to carry more and therefore bigger bags, especially in the sling bag world. And I agree with you that there is somewhat of a trend of things getting bigger and people wanting to carry more. With backpacks, I'm not really sure if there's actually a trend in terms of people wanting to carry bigger bags, but I assume that since people are back to traveling again and getting into one bag travel a little bit more, as well as this trend of minimalism, I feel that people are starting to buy 30-liter bags instead of 20-liter bags because they can use them for carry-on. But going back to sling bags, I see that a lot, that people, instead of having the small 2-literish sling bag, they tend to have for instance, the Chrome Cadet, because they also carry a camera and stuff like that. So I do see a trend in getting bigger everyday carry bags.
Now, Greg, as the retailer in this group, I know that there's probably certain things you can't say, like, certain numbers here and there, but just as like a general, rule of thumb, are we kind of on point here, or do you think that, maybe we're a little
Yeah, I
off?
think so. No, I think it's a trend that, people are starting to buy like larger bags. Even myself, I used to, due to my job, I had to switch a lot of bags, but, on average, I'm carrying like a 28 to 35 on my everyday backpack, I'd say.
Oh,
That's a big
okay.
everyday carry. Wait,
Yeah, yeah,
what
that's
are you
nice.
carrying that you need 35 liters?
I travel quite a lot, and every time I travel, I had to like unpack all my stuff, and I'm a frequent traveler,
Hmm.
and I'm just lazy to repack all my stuff again.
Mm,
Sometimes,
Hmm.
I had my camera with me, like every trip, even I don't use it. Like most of the time, I had my Sony A7 with 24 to
70.
70, yeah,
That's
24 to
big.
70.
That's a
Yes,
big
yes,
camera.
yes, it's a big one. Well, I'm trying to convince myself to buy a Q3, but I still need to zoom like from time to time. So I'm with Sony, and then I had a CAP2 with me all of the time
Yeah.
because it fits like all the action cameras, 360 cameras, and as well as all the world traveler charges.
That's a lot, yeah.
And rest of the stuff is a pouch that fits in all my clothes, pajamas and stuff just for 1 to 2 nights.
Mm.
So yeah, it's interesting what you're talking about there, Greg, and I think that's kind of like a highlight of why these bags are getting bigger is because I think it comes down a lot of ways to tech gear, right? Like we got more
Yep.
laptops, more tablets, more cameras, throw a GoPro in there. Ah, should I bring my drone as well? It's like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
traveling. I need my podcast mic with me. So I think tech gear is like a big part of this as to why, the bags are getting bigger and bigger. I mean, like, I just feel like bags used to be like 18 to 20 liters on average, but now you're seeing, the Air City Pack Pro came in at 24 liters. The new Rush Faster backpack, it launched at 22 liters. Boundary Supply Errant Pro, I'm not sure what that is. I
That's
think it's
that's
20.
interesting that your
Yeah.
perception is at 18 liters. My perception was always that the standard was 21 liter.
I
That
think,
was my
okay,
perception.
I
section.
would say that 20 was like the rule of thumb, maybe more so, but I saw
Mm.
more 18 liters, I think, than I
Oh,
would now.
interesting.
Like at least that's sort of what I think, sort of in my experience. Greg, based on like what you're seeing, like in terms of like, like a sales perspective though, are bigger
Yeah.
bags like everyday carry bags, right? Not travel. Are bigger bags for everyday carry selling more? Or are you still seeing a lot of the smaller, sort of sexier, slimmer bags, getting picked up as well?
Well, I mean, small slings and stuff is still selling great. I mean, there was some people saying that 2022 was a year of sling. I believe there was this saying, and I believe sling is still going very strong at the moment. Brands like Cordafel, and barrel rod slings. We can see like the sales of these slings are going like skyrockets. So well, they're still uptrending right now.
Hmm. What about from a
But the other
backpack
end,
perspective though?
yeah. Well, yeah, I believe most of them are like 24 onwards. We see like more sales going that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one reason being that I said the majority of my customers, I believe it's 88% of my customers are actually male
Mm.
customers. So I think we don't like the majority of them are looking at bags like let's say able carry daily backpack plus.
Hmm.
They're more on a Catalyst 26-liter Mitsubishi range, Evergo's CPL 24.
Hmm.
They're more leaning towards that side. But yeah, well, I'd say 24 plus is we can see that the trend is moving like slightly more towards big backpacks.
Greg, you brought up an interesting point that I want to take for a quick little detour with because you said 88% of your customers are male.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
That's a very specific statistic, but it's funny because on Nomads Nation, I like to look at our demographics for our audience, and I'd say we're like
Right.
right around there as well. When I first started the channel, it was like 98% male, but over the years,
Yeah.
the female part has gotten a lot bigger. Have you been seeing like actually, before I go to you, Greg, like Bo, have you ever looked at like the demographics of your channel?
I'm
And
doing this right as we
we're
speak.
checking in real time.
Um,
Yeah.
okay, well, 93.7% are male on my channel.
93.7. Now, obviously, for you and
Yeah.
I both, we're dudes, so dudes gonna be more likely to, connect with us. And there's also not a lot of female voices in the carry community quite to the same extent.
Mm.
But I think that it's interesting on twofold as to where, for me, the stats were a lot higher when I first started the channel. It was like 95% male, and it's starting to go down a little bit. So, Greg, on your end, are you starting to see like the women, like, are you starting to see women buy more everyday carry gear and like nice gear? Or do you think that number from 88% has been pretty consistent?
I think 88% is pretty consistent. It has been going on for quite a while, right? Quite a while already. I have been looking at the stats, every time there are collabs coming out, and whenever we have to analyze with the brands, and I think yeah, 88% has been like I think since 2022 or something. When we started to analyze the gender of our customers, it has been going like around that numbers. But there's more customers now, female customers now coming in. They wanted to know more about the story behind the brand, the text out that the reason like why they should choose X-Pack instead of Echo Pack or Coutura. They started to I believe they started to try to understand more. It used to be a male question before, like they the male cares about a lot about the story behind, and now that I believe the women's are somewhat they're asking more the reason why they started to put heavy stuff at in the bag and try to feel the difference between you know uh, uh, just a random pack versus a pack that's well designed and
Hmm.
yeah, it's amazing to see their facial expressions when they feel the difference between
Yeah.
the packs in retail store. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons I love doing retailing. Having a face-to-face conversation where you give them an unbiased opinion, what they should choose, and giving them hints, in what how they should choose the backpack that fits them. I think the interaction between customers is is amazing.
I agree. The next trend that I've been noticing that we'll chat about quickly is slings are going from sort of horizontal recently to more vertical. Have you guys been seeing this as well? Where the sort of the pouch revolution is sort of coming back. Now this is all cyclical, right? Because fashion trends come and they go, but we're starting to see a lot more demand on the Nomads Nation channel for vertical type phone slings. Think like the Belroy City pouch. Basically, they're slings that just instead of laying like this on you, they're sort of like man purse status, but
Yeah,
a
like
lot
the Black
cooler.
Amber Compact.
Yeah, exactly. The
Right.
Black Ember Compact
Mm.
being a more heavy duty version of that, in terms of like being less minimalist. But Bo, have you been seeing this as well?
Yes, I did see that as well. Especially also in with the, let's say, more fashion focused.
Mm.
Not fashion focused, maybe Graham's 2028.
Yeah.
That brand that has more of a, let's say, leather style that is most suitable for, no pun intended, suitable for people wearing a suit
Hmm.
or for more business focused and fashion focused persons. Did see a lot of those, as you said, those vertical kind of bags. Also, the new one from, I forgot who was it. Was the alpaca? No, not alpaca.
Alpaca's got two of them, I think, right now.
Yeah, yeah. So did see that. It's not really my cup of tea because, as you just said, it somewhat resembles a man purse, which is totally fine by me, but it's just not my taste because I feel it lays weirdly on my body, and when I'm walking, I feel it flops around too much. Therefore, I prefer the kind of longish. How did you say it? Like horizontal, so it
Horizontal, yeah.
lays. Yeah, I prefer that because it fits my body better, and when I'm walking, then when it's vertical, I feel it maybe not, it's not that way, but I feel that it flops a little bit more. Therefore, I don't like it that much.
Yeah,
But
I
I
think it's
did see that
interesting.
trend.
Go
Was
ahead,
it
Greg.
the Wandered you're trying to talk about, Bo?
Oh
Was it
yeah, yeah,
Wandered
yeah.
X1? Yeah,
I
yeah,
meant I
yeah,
meant the Wandered. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
exactly. That's the one.
Have you had a chance? Have you guys? Do you guys have the crossbody from Wandered?
Not yet. I want to.
Yes, well, I did just well, Wandered just they mailed us their one of the Kickstarter bags. It
Hmm.
just arrived to store today in the morning, so I have been playing around Wandered. That's why when Bo is mentioning about a vertical sling, I say like it was supposed to be the Wandered X1. I believe they call it
Yeah,
X1.
yeah. X
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
The X1 crossbody.
yeah.
You're a very patient man then, Greg, because I would have been like, "Whoa!" I would have interrupted him right away. So I commend your
Right,
patience.
right, right.
Yeah, that thing, that crossbody is pretty cool. It has like a real, it's like this viper mouth opening to it. Like it really
Yeah,
opens up. And it's got like this origami, like peak design tech pouch sort of organization inside. I think it's pretty interesting, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, you got Wandered, Graham's 28, Alpaca, Simple's new phone sling is fire. I love that thing. It's another vertical sling. So, Greg, on your end, do you think this is a trend that's kind of here to stay a little bit? Because we also live in Hong Kong, Greg, which is a little bit different. I think it's a little more fashion forward. Hong Kongers like to be fashionable. It's a very trendy culture here. So, do you think that the vertical sling revolution is here to stay, or will it be a short-lived
well,
trend?
I'd say, well, like to be honest, looking at the sales back, like from the backside, well, I don't see that there's like a sudden like increase in demand for vertical sling.
Hmm.
I think it might be different story, on the internet, but in-store interaction well, I'm a big fan of the Black Amber compact, compact, sling. But for me, it's more like a pouch. I use it to store to store all. When I travel with my kids, I put my what's it called Nintendo Switch inside it, so
Mm.
it fits perfectly with all the wires, HDMI cables, that connects me with, when they're back to the hotel. So compact is more like of a pouch for me, and
Mm.
it turns into a secondary sling. Like whenever I land at the hotel, if I want to do like a quick shopping from the supermarket downstairs, I'm going to turn that into a pouch that that carries like my passports and stuff.
For sure. Greg, on that note, I think that I look at all the comments and I respond to all the comments on the YouTube channel, and I think possibly the number one comment that I get is, "Will this fit a Switch?" And I don't have a Switch. I've never switched. I'm switched
Yeah.
off. So is this an official like recommendation from you, Greg? That like if you're looking for something to carry the Switch in, the compact is a good pick?
Yeah, it is definitely for me. I mean, the moment I received it, it kind of become my Switch pouch, in the first minute.
That's awesome. Because usually, because Tom Talk has like a Switch sling, like it's specifically made for the Switch. So that's kind of like going around like as like the
Right.
number one Switch recommendation. But now I know if I need to give any alternatives, the compact is where it's at. Bo, do you Switch at all or
I have
Steam Deck
I
or
have an
anything?
I have a Nintendo Switch, but I also got just recently a small little gaming device for retro games.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, the Switch is an amazing device if you're traveling. But before I forget, I wanted to kind of include a little hypothesis. Did I say that correctly in English? Um,
Hypothesis. You were
for
close enough.
hypothesis. That was how you pronounce it. Hypothesis. In Germany, a lot of the kids, let's say that way, the kids that are wearing Supreme, that are real into Gucci and stuff like that, they all wear these little sling bags that are in a vertical shape from Gucci
Right.
or from Louis Vuitton and stuff like that. Probably all fake. Not sure if they actually buy those original, but they all wear these kind of fashion in air quotes. I'm not sure how to call them because they are not sling bag, they are not man purses, but these, yeah, as you said, these vertical things. And I feel that as soon as they potentially get a little bit older and maybe think, oh, I'm not want to wear a Gucci bag, but rather a compact or the 100X because I want something more that is better built and that is original and not a rip-off or a
Hmm.
counterfeit, then I can see that more people or the mainstream would use that kind of bags because, yeah, I feel that the mainstream kids are very prone to wearing those longish kind of sling bags, at least here in Germany. And I mean, that's a guess. That's a guess because I don't think they
I
will
mean,
ever buy a proper bag, to be quite
I think
honest.
I think that I see the trend as well, like having a tiny remote suitcase, and it's
Yeah,
kind of like a sling. I think
yeah,
it's kind of like a fashion thing going on
yeah.
as well in Hong
It's a
Kong.
fashion thing. Oh yeah, 100%. And I think yeah, because I did some community research with this, and I got a lot of Europeans who are like, "This is not a trend. People have been wearing this in Europe for a while now." But I got to admit, they're very functional bags. Like I've been using the Wandered crossbody, and like I said, I'm a big fan of the simple new phone sling. And like the idea of just putting your phone in there and just super easy to take out, right? It's not like a horizontal sling where it's kind of like
Mm,
it doesn't have a particular sleeve or a dedicated sleeve the way that a vertical sling does. So they're super, super functional. And they're very sleek looking and they're very fashion forward. I'm with you, Bo. They're not 100% like my cup of tea from an aesthetic perspective, but walking around with them, because we do all the B-roll around here,
mm,
walking outside testing the bags, like I'm like, damn, they work really well. So maybe one day
yeah.
the actual aesthetic will grow on me a little bit. I'm curious though. Those are just some of the trends that I've been spotting. Did you guys have any trends that you've been noticing that you wanted to bring to the table, Greg, from your perspective as a retailer, or Bo as a content creator?
Well, I think more people like I wouldn't say the back trend, but I would say it's more like a textile trend. People are trying to explore more options from different textiles, like companies. You know, it used to be only Kudura, like way back, like
Mm.
When it's more at kind of an advanced technology, it would be Cordura in the first, like in the first use. But like right now, we see more X-Pack, and then people are digging in what type of X-Pack it is. We see Dyneema, and what kind of strength of Dyneema it is. People are more into like they pay more attention to the technology behind all these textiles, and I think which is a good thing because it started more like how do I say that? So it's people are like digging really deep into whatever it is. Like for zippers, it used to be YKK only, like
Yeah.
zip pullers. Right now you have all these sort of different, kind of zip pullers. And there's one like really interesting that the new bags from Wanda, they call it, I think they call it Ori Safe, and it's a trademark. Ori Trade a zipper or something.
Oh.
This is the so this is the actual zipper brand, not the zipper pullers you're talking about.
A super pool. But
Okay, the
yeah, yeah. So
pulse.
what I'm trying to say is that like more people are digging like really deep. Fit lock, the use of fit lock, cobra locks, which is a completely if on the function side, it's completely like not in the use of everyday bags, but people are um they're spending more they pay more attention into the details, and I think it's more professional use of all this like new technology in everyday bags, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that's a freaking great point, Greg. Because I 100% agree with you. And Bo, like the textile industry, I think Greg just nailed it. It was Cordura, and then it was Cordura and
Yeah.
X-Pack, and now it's just like it's an open field. Now people are like X-Pack, screw that, EcoPack, or like you said,
Yeah.
Dyneema, or
Yeah.
Challenge Sailcloth. There's all these different textiles out there. What have you been seeing on that side, Bo? Are there any like up and coming fabrics that you think are like, hey, this one's really interesting?
I think, as you just mentioned, the eco anything that has to do with eco and sustainability is up and coming. I do feel that I think it is a great trend, but it is sometimes kind of difficult to actually know if it's actually eco or if it's, for example, in phones, everything is called ultra or pro. You have no idea anymore if it's actually pro. And I feel sometimes it is very difficult for consumers to actually understand, okay, what is this blue certificate or what is this eco? I think it's a cool, as I said, it's a cool trend. And I am hoping that everything is going more in the direction of sustainability, but sometimes it's a little bit difficult as a consumer, to see what exactly is sustainable. Is the fabric actually is sustainable fabric? Or did you just put in there, okay, this is made out of 10 bottles, but you have no idea what exactly is 10 bottles made of? So, yeah,
Of course, I mean it's a very complex topic. Like even as I'm making my own
Yes,
backpack, I'm going to Vietnam and I'm learning more and more about this. And some people that I'll be talking to like, yeah, this fabric is technically recycled, which makes it eco-friendly, but it actually requires 5 times more energy to make it because of how
exactly.
complicated it is. So therefore, that
Exactly.
actually is, so it's really complex. And I am
Mm,
definitely no expert to sort of shine light on this, but I think from a trends perspective, we can definitely say that eco-friendliness, has been trending for a long time and probably
yeah.
will continue to. I think that we'll probably end up seeing more brands that aren't just saying, hey, this is a recycled fabric, but like Greg is talking about, where consumers want like actual specific details in regards to the technicalities of the fabric. I think that's going to start happening with eco-friendly fabrics as well. Well, okay, well, it's recycled. Well, what's the breakdown? Where did the bottles come
Mm.
from? How energy intensive is this? I think there's a lot of different factors to take into consideration. Do you think that's a stretch, Greg, or do you think that, over time, the eco-friendly stuff will start to get increasingly technical as well?
Well, I think it could be like it could be really technical as well. I mean, Jack from Evergoods, Jack and Kelvin, they had a new explanation video, I think, which is great for like helping laymen to understand the technology behind how it saves energy. But
Hmm.
I think it was like a 20-minute video, if I did not remember wrong. How they use the solution dye. They even draw like all the pictures, and all the procedures it has to go through. I think the whole like environmental friendly still requires a lot of clarification instead of just marketing, just adding like Bo said, adding a pro or a echo at the end. I think
Mm.
it requires a lot of explanation behind. And I think yeah, just want to say I spend a lot of time listening to Kelvin from Evergus, his videos and how he explained uh, um, the effort behind. I think it is something that you know every brand should be paying attention to as well.
I think on that note too, with fabrics, while we pivot from eco-friendliness, one trending fabric that I'm really noticing having a moment is wax canvas. I think that,
Oh yeah.
it was sort of out of the limelight, and then I think the Evergoods Careology, collab really brought it back as to where now the community is obsessed with wax canvas. Do you think, Bo, that wax canvas will continue on like an upward trajectory, or we'll be seeing a lot more bags doing
Mm.
wax canvas? Because it's not the only one. Mission Workshop does wax canvas. Filson does a lot of wax canvas. Pact does wax canvas. So a lot of brands have it, but now I think it's starting to kind of come into the forefront. Do you see that trend continuing, or maybe has its 15 minutes of fame passed for wax canvas?
I do think it is coming back, but not necessarily yeah, I think wax canvas is a part of it. I think we're loop everything in society and fashion is looping back and back, and it's always a loop. And I feel that we have come to a point, especially after those COVID years, where people want something that they can touch and something that is substantial in a way, or something that you can give back. For instance, like a watch that you can inherit to your child, or having rather an old car like a I would never be able to afford one, but I can see why people want an old Porsche, for instance. Or and that's the same thing with clothing and bags. People want rather something that, like for with wax canvas, they want a bag like a Filson that they potentially have some patina on it and then inherit it to your child or something. And I feel that that is the intent of, or the wish for many people nowadays, after having so much items that they just throw away. They exchange their phone every single year, and we see that with iPhones. People are like, why should I buy the new iPhone? I just keep my old one. I'd rather use the money for something else. They start buying wallets again, although we are all at Apple Pay or Google Pay. I see so many people like buying leather wallets again because they want the feel of that wallet, that tactility. Or knives, for instance, with where there is wood on the handle. And yeah, wax canvas is just a part of it. And therefore, I do see that trend that people are more likely to get stuff like that. Or hats. I see people wearing cowboy hats again. Or,
Hmm.
there's handmade. I follow this DOP on YouTube, Cam Mackey. He is always wearing this cowboy hat and stuff like that. And yeah, I feel that it's a trend now that people are going back to tactile feeling or cassette tapes. And
For
wax
sure.
canvas is just a part of that.
Yeah, yeah, I think that you brought some really good points there, Bo. And like there's the cyclicalness of trends, right, in fashion. B, there's that sort of
Mm.
passing down of like these organic materials that do
Yeah.
develop character in their own story. And the note that I would add on it, and I want to see if you want to add anything else on top of it, Greg, but I would add, I think that, in the bag world, we really started to push a lot towards these techier materials, right? I mean, you were seeing a lot of ballistic nylons and these X packs, really highly technical fabrics, as to where you start pushing so far on one end that the trends just want to go the other way, right? It's like hair metal in the 80s pushed so far that's what made Nirvana, then Nirvana came out, right, with grunge alternative, right? So that's what I was feeling. I feel like, these technical materials were going so crazy that people are just like, dude, I just want a backpack. It's like what Roland always says to us, Bo, is like, I just want a backpack that looks like a backpack. So we got
Yeah.
sort of these you're fine. We got these different elements. Greg, do you think there's anything else that sort of contributed to the rise of wax canvas in 2023, 2024?
Yeah, well, I think it's not going, well, due to the cost, I don't think that it's going to be a mainstream like a increment in terms of sales and demand.
For
But
sure.
yeah, I believe West Canvas is amazing, and it should be, it should be a material that every brand should be in fact, I wouldn't say invest, but I'm having it's more like a heritage thing, like Bo said. I think the very first time that I read that brought me back to West Canvas is from Bedouin.
Mm,
So there's one year I went back to London. I believe it was 2020, pre-COVID. I went to the workshop, and spent some time with the owner, and I think it was pretty amazing. Having him like reintroduce how wax canvases should be, having uh, the hands on the Harley Stevenson wax canvas is, the experience that, I believe it's very unique, kind of like a touch on a fabric, very different. And I think I really hope that more brands, will be using them, as a fabric that on their products. I think it's very unique, and I think if you don't use it, it's gonna disappear someday. I would say, like, more people are into the everything is calculating the cost, the effectiveness of production,
hmm
but I think this kind of like I like last century fabrics, I would say. I think I'm very looking forward, for more people, to be including them in the collection again.
Yeah, and on that note, like, were you a pretty big fan, Greg, of the Evergoods Griffin collab? I think you have all the bags.
Yes, I am. The one thing that was one problem I have with Evergoods is that they are too durable. I am still on my first version of Evergoods CPR 24. I'm trying really bad to break it, but there's no way I can break it. I'm still on my version one. I tried version two, version three, but that was, due to work. I had to switch. But
hmm
I have been on my version one for quite a long while already, and I love the Griffin, but I'm still trying to break my version one CPR 24 before I move on, to the Griffin.
that was a great subtle soft plug for Evergoods. They'll appreciate that one.
Yes, yeah, yeah, I love it. The moment I saw that Griffin came out, they're on Harley Stevenson Rex Canvas. The excitement is insane. I mean, I'm so stoked. But it's still a little bit they're the same Harley Stevenson that using, but I feel that I'm not sure if it was the processing or whatever, but you know, having the hands on the Bedouin bags, I think it kind of like the touch is different from the Evergoods, even though there's the same fabric. I don't know why, but yeah. I still remember the moment I had my first hand on a Bedouin product. I mean, yeah, wax canvas definitely is something that love at the first instant.
Now, I'd say, Bo, I'm someone I'm actually still kind of a wax canvas novice. I'm only starting to really dive into it, as I got the Cap 2 for the Griffin series, and but I've never even held a Bodwin. Is that how they're pronounced, right? The London one, and then you also have the
Yeah,
Scottish brand Tracky, which I think I'm
cracky.
pronouncing
Yeah.
that correct. Those are two brands that I've never really reviewed that are supposed to have some of the best wax canvas in the game. Do you have a bit more experience with wax canvas, Bo? Like, have you tested anything from Tracky?
Yeah, yeah, I did actually. I had reviewed, as I reviewed a couple of their bags, but I think the only wax canvas that was really noticeable wax canvas were one of the earlier ones that I reviewed, and I actually reviewed one that was wax canvas that I tested in the summer. And I vividly remember that I was walking with my dog. No, it was just walking really long because it was so hot. So no, my dog wasn't with me, but I was walking quite long, and I remember the sun shining on the wax canvas the whole time. And I did notice at some point some weird smell, and I assumed that it was from the bag, and then I smelled the bag, and it was actually the bag because some yeah, the wax got warm. It wasn't a bad smell, but I did notice something was smelling that it was actually the bag. But I think that is basically normal for wax canvas. I mean, it's a organic and a natural thing, and when you walk in the heat with it, then obviously the wax will, I'm not sure how you say it, melt. Is it melting? No, it's just getting warm and stuff, and then yeah. But that's a
That's
good thing also about wax canvas. You can reapply it afterwards if it's
mhm.
worn off. That's so cool about it.
Yeah, it's the one thing about wax canvas is it does seem like a lifestyle fabric as to where you're like, I'm ready to deal with the BS of it all. I'm good to re-wax it. I'm good with the fact because it does get mold, my understanding, a bit faster than maybe another material might. And there's could be smell issues with it. This is a recurring criticism that I've heard about it. But for people who love wax canvas, they're like, dude, I'm all about the wax canvas lifestyle. I do not care. Whatever the cons are, the pros outweigh them for me because aesthetically, it's just so gorgeous. Greg, you seem to be a bit more of a wax canvas expert. Is that smell thing? Is that happen frequently, or does it depend on the canvas?
Well, it never happened to me because I use West Canvas when I'm in London.
Hmm.
I don't use it in Hong Kong because of the humid, because I know that how it turns out to be. But yeah, but I try to avoid using it during summer. But every now and then when I go back to Europe or London, I will carry my Bedouin bag because it's just lovely to use the bag that's had a wax canvas on.
For sure. I think we're gonna start wrapping this up a little bit. We have one more chapter to discuss, and I'm really
Right.
curious to hear you guys' thoughts on this. So talking about like trends, I kind of want to look at like trajectories of certain brands, or should I say, like who's trending up and who's trending down. Obviously, Greg, I know you gotta we all have relationships with these brands in some capacity, so say however you can and,
Right.
and whatever you can. But I'm
Right.
curious,
Right.
like Bo, I'll start with you. Like, what are some brands that you think are in a position that are just going to start trending up? And that could be,
Oh.
a medium-sized brand that's going to grow even bigger, or a small brand that's about to explode. What are some brands that you think are about to be trending that way?
Oh, wow. That's a difficult question. I mean, there are some brands where I feel they are always on a, how did you say it, on an upwards trajectory, like Evergoods. I feel they're always moving up, and they have a very good reputation in the community, and their their products are always great. So I'm not, I yeah, that would be my obvious answer, but because they have always been trending up, I'm not sure if that's the right answer for your question.
I think it
Um,
absolutely is. I actually had a small list of two brands, and Evergoods was on there. I mean, actually, I'll
okay.
show this to anybody who's looking. Let me just show my screen real fast because you
Mm.
know me and my Google Trends, bro. Bo, I love looking at them, and you can see for anybody who's watching this on YouTube, you can see this is Evergoods trending over the past 5 years, and it's just up, 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 up. So I mean, they have room for growth at this point. I mean, we looked at their traffic too a couple weeks ago, you and I, Bo, on a podcast, and they're growing, but they're only a fraction of what GoRuck is at this point. So, I mean, there's still
Mm.
so much upward trajectory for them. So, I think you did give an obvious answer, but it's a very good
Oh,
obvious
I,
answer.
I know. I was just looking at my channel, Grams 28. I think they are moving up because I feel that they have a styling and a brand image that is very appealing to mainstream. It's not necessarily a bag that I would say people like us would buy because we probably would rather have some technical fabrics or some more technicality to it. But I feel that grams is right on the nose of mainstream people because it's made out of leather. It's kind of fashion forward. It's unisex. That is something that I think that is lacking with most of the bag enthusiast world brands. I don't see my wife, for instance, wearing a Evergoods bag, but I can see my wife wearing a Grams 28 bag.
I
And
think that's a
therefore,
really good
yeah,
call, Bo. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but I am curious because when you brought Graham's 28 up earlier, Greg kind of lit up a little bit. So
Right,
do you agree with this? Well, actually, I'm just curious about your perspective on Graham's 28, Greg, and also do you
right.
think
It
Bo's
it was it was a funny story because I just had a chat with the Benjamin from Grams 28.
mhm. Is that the founder or the
So
owner or?
yeah, he was the founder. I actually met. It was a small world. I actually heard about. He was on Kickstarter on a different brand name. So there's, I believe it was like 4 or 5 years ago. There's a guy from Hong Kong, made a Kickstarter made a modular Kickstarter backpack that is out of leather. And the
Hmm.
selling price for that bag is around $200 if I did not remember wrong,
Hmm.
which is, totally unbelievable, incredibly low price, and it's made of real leather, and he's from Hong Kong. So I'm quite aware of, all the costs and, manufacturing costs, the cost of the fitlock he's using. And yeah, so Grants 28, so it was a funny story. So I actually heard about the founder a few years back. So there's a Kickstarter brand going on from Hong Kong, and I'm super curious because I know that it is very hard to kickstart a brand if you're like legit from Hong Kong, and it was a backpack, a modular leather backpack that sells around 200 US dollars. That is almost impossible for me because I know like we all can calculate roughly calculate the cost behind this. So I knew this. I searched
Yeah,
the internet. I knew this.
those margins aren't too good.
Yes, yes, definitely. So I'm aware of this. I'm the founder of Grams 28, Benjamin. Until like a couple of I believe it was like 3 months ago. So I was talking with Phillock, and then they mentioned a guy called Benjamin, and then there's a few common friends of us, all naming like Graham, the owner of Graham's 28 as Benjamin, but I didn't relate them as the same person. But
Hmm.
somehow, and Philip passed me his phone number. I ended up, seeing that it is actually the same telephone number that I had, on the Kickstarter
Hmm.
campaign. So I gave him a call, and then actually Suburban will be stocking Grams 28 like really soon.
That's very exciting, and it definitely just proves your point, Bo. And I think that we're all on the same page because I've been also really impressed with what Grams 28 is doing because they're basically taking like a luxury good, they're looking like
yeah,
that Gucci or Louis Vuitton look, right? These handmade leather goods, and the price point's pretty high, but it's not luxury high. It's
Yeah.
not Louis Vuitton
yeah,
high, right?
exactly.
But what I do like about Grams 28 that they're doing is they're a lot of these luxury brands. There's nothing technical about them, right? It's like, hey, you open it up and there's like it's just like there's no
Yeah,
organization, no pockets. But these Grams 28 bags, they're technical. The organization's thoughtful. Like you can see that like these guys are really doing something different as to where it's this luxury sort of a look, but they're offering the technicality as well with some really thoughtful organization. So I think we're all on the same page with that. I think that Grams 28, and they have a retail store in London, Greg, don't they?
Well, I'm not sure if I should say it is a retail store, but they do have a location in London. Last
Got it.
conversation with Benjamin, but yeah, I think the uniqueness of the brand and the combination of the textile and the hardware is what like from my perspective is what made them unique because there's like no such kind of combination in the market at the moment that use the combination.
100%.
Yeah, and I think that uniqueness right now is and yeah, it is unique in the market, and I can see that it should be, if you use the word, trending brand, I would say Grams 28 definitely would be one of the brand. But um, yeah, I would say it's a very hard point to actually um, name it like uptrending, because there's too much. I believe there's too complicated behind, like how they wanted the brand to be, if they wanted it to be in the mass market, how they wanted to picture the whole brand. And
Hmm.
I think, which is quite, the moment you mention uptrending, like brand, that's what hits my head at at the first instant, is whether or not the brand wanted to hit the mass market. Not every brand wants to hit that
Hmm.
mass market that produce, the ultimate goal is to produce a million, a million units every year. I mean, I see the advantage of the brand by keeping it small, I would say.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think that, we could bring it up Evergoods, but look at them as an example. I think they're doing that on purpose. Like they're keeping it small, in control, highly profitable. I'm sure they're not, I'm sure they're doing well for themselves, because they're keeping it in control. A lot of these e-commerce companies, when they start just growing too fast, they get out of control, they get cash flow issues, and then they go under because of it. So that slow and steady growth is usually the better and more sustainable route for e-commerce brands. So hopefully, these brands that are growing, Grams 28 being a great example, are, taking that. I think one more brand too that I think is trending on the upward, and I'm curious to hear your guys' thought, is Simple. Have they been on your radar at all, Bo?
They have. I actually wanted to test something from them, but I haven't yet.
Greg?
Yeah, well, it has been, I have been seeing a lot of ads from them, not actually
Hmm.
having a hand on them, but I think, yeah, from 0 to 1 is definitely a very interesting stage, a very exciting stage. But yeah, I think Symbol
Yeah.
is definitely one of the brand that, we can see that's going up.
Yeah. I think a lot of this for me, I'm going off of, what I can see in terms of, well, comments, what people are talking about on the YouTube channel, where the pulse of the community is. And, Simple's still, like you said, great. I love that expression, Greg. They're going from 0 to 1, but they're doing it pretty well, and they've got a unique aesthetic, and I've quite enjoyed their products. So I'm curious to see what the next few years bring for them. And then on that note, though, on the side note, I'm curious what you guys think. We could talk about trends, brands trending up. Are there any brands that we think are trending in the wrong direction, trending down? I started with you last time, Bo, but I'd be curious to from Greg's perspective. And if you can't answer that, Greg, for obvious reasons, that's fine. But I'd also be curious to hear if you can answer it.
Well, I wouldn't say like the brands we're working with. I don't see there's any like going in the wrong direction. I say I can see that many brands are trying to explore the opportunity around, trying different the vertical of the products, the range of products there. I believe that many of the brands we're working with, they're exploring. I said exploring different trends, not necessarily
Hmm.
going in the wrong direction, but there's a lot of trial and error, I'd say.
Hmm. For
Um,
sure.
yeah, it would be
Yeah.
interest, but
Yeah.
it would
And
be interesting, looking at Mr. Range as they just sold to Yeti very recently. I mean,
mhm.
it would be very interesting to see, whether or not it would go to a different direction.
Oh yeah. I mean, the carry community, carryology is freaking out about this. Did you hear about this, Bo?
No?
Yeti, the brand Yeti, the
Yeah.
American apparel brand
Oh,
and
yeah.
accessories brand. They
In
did.
the last
They,
episode, we talked about that Yeti bought them, right? Or something.
Did we talk about it? I don't remember if we did or not. Yeah, but it's a pretty big acquisition, and I'm really curious to see how that affects Mystery Ranch. Because would you say Mystery Ranch is the best selling brand in Hong Kong, Greg? Like, I mean, one of at least it's got to be top two or three, right?
I'd say it's on the top 5.
Top five.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're obviously doing something right there, and obviously we've seen the demand outside of Hong Kong as well, Bo, just for our content and doing reviews. Have you done a Mystery Ranch review, Bo?
I did not actually. I did own a mystery ranch, but I have to say it wasn't for me
Right.
in terms of looks, because the one that I did own, that was the 3-day assault. It was
Right.
just too military for me. It wasn't my cup of tea. But I would have loved to have reviewed the Mystery Ranch Carryology. Was it called the Unicorn or something? That looked amazing because it wasn't too military for my cup of tea.
Yeah, the
Right. Right.
unicorn. It was really cool too. I liked how they had the different cuts of the
Yeah.
fabrics and stuff. It looked like a really cool bag. I agree on the Mystery Ranch Bow. It's not my cup of tea aesthetically, but talk about a comfortable bag. Holy crap! And talk about a trending bag here in Hong Kong. I feel like every other person is wearing the 3-day assault. It is a very popular bag. I think though, speaking of comfort, like one thing that I love about Mystery Ranch is that harness system. And I think that two brands that I don't think they're necessarily trending down, but I would, be cautious if I was them, is what I'm seeing is a lot of people commenting on bag brands that are less comfortable, and those comments starting to sort of compound over time. So you have brands like Peak Design and Nomadic, I would say, are two that I see on my channel a lot that get really ribbed for being uncomfortable. Let's say Peak Design for one, they have a tendency to make their shoulder straps stow away with that little magnetic, swivel, right? And they can sort of pop under right there. So that requires their shoulder straps to be very thin, very maneuverable, right? So you have to have a certain design to be able to fulfill that need. And that comes at the cost of comfort. And I'm just seeing a lot on my channel, people sort of starting to really get sick of their Peak Design bags and their Nomadic bags as well 6 months to a year down the line, because it's not quite as comfortable as a Mystery Ranch, as an Evergoods, as a Go Ruck. So for me, the brands that are trending downward are more so, not downward, but the ones that I would recommend maybe, take a look at how the comfort of your bag would be, brands like Nomadic and Peak Design, where I'm just seeing a lot of comments on my channel where people aren't always pleased with the comfort. But do you think that comfort is that something that you're seeing at Suburban, Greg, in terms of something that people are like, in terms of like coming back to brand and brand loyalty, or is it more an aesthetic game?
To be honest, I think it's a sacrifice of, being techy. They have to have all these 100% waterproof zippers, fabrics, Peak Design and Wander, all these techy backpack brands are actually selling quite well in Suburban. It was funny, every time I don't always stand to do sales in store, but from now and then, if I pop up front, when I'm talking to the customers, their expectation, I think is quite different of when you buy a techie backpack, versus when you purchase a brand like Evergoods or 3-day assault. Are people who tend to, like customers who tend to purchase a Mr. Ranch or Evergoods, they're more care about the durability of the bag, how well it could use over time. And for Peak Design and Wander, there, I think the kind of like selling point on those brands is the warranty that comes with the product itself, a lifetime warranty. An exchange, like whatever problem it has, is gonna like swap new one for you. There was an interesting conversation where I was talking with customers, how was the expectation of the durability of the techie backpack, I would say. Most of them doesn't really care about the durability. They wanted it to serve the purpose instead of, looking at, a long-term durability when they come to purchase a techie pack, I would say.
Bo, how about from your perspective, anything, whether it's a brand or a feature or something that you're seeing that's sort of trending down, what do you think?
I honestly am afraid of some brands where I don't see them moving forward a bit, and I'm a little bit careful because I was stepping into hot waters the last episode, and I want to have like a spicy take on it. But I will maybe I can dampen the blow a little bit by saying I just recently made my 8 years later review of the Gorak GR0. And I love that bag, and I still have a lot of emotions with that bag, and I love Gorak overall because they are a great brand and the bag looks amazing. But just as we mentioned in a previous episode of this podcast, I I fear that at some point the enthusiasm of their fan base might get slower or get I don't know, it's getting dampened because it's basically just one bag in different sizes and small tiny iterations. It's basically always I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's always the GR1 in different sizes, in different fabrics, and also in the same colors. It's always black, green, maybe brown, and I kind of am fearful they are very popular, but maybe in 3 years people will wish, oh, I kind of would have wished a different bag from them. And I am really hoping that they do something else. Maybe they become something like Nike. Instead of just having the Jordan, they also make a Dunk. It's similar, but not, I wish they kind of innovate on their design a little bit more. Keeping to their heritage with the GR lineup, but then also having something, I don't know, maybe make a different brand, make Run Rock or something, and then experiment with that a little bit, I don't know. It's been so many years, and because I did this 8 years later review, and I looked at my GR0, and obviously there's the GR1 Heritage Edition that solves a lot of the issues that I had with the GR0. If you put them side by side to a person that has no clue about bags, that person would say, isn't that the same bag? And I kind of wish they would be courageous and do something different. They don't have to kind of destroy their brand by making... I know how it is if you have a loyal fan base and you suddenly make something new, and some of your fan base will say, hey, you're losing your essence, but then make a new brand maybe, or make something, I don't know, a sub-brand, and then try some new stuff.
Well, I got good news for you, Bo. Remember in one of the podcast episodes with you and I, you were talking about how expensive it is for Gorak bags to get as a European. Well, they're opening up a new European either warehouse
I was told that.
or stores.
Yeah.
So so hopefully, A, they'll start coming out with some new styles, and B, you'll be able to you'll be able to get them a lot easier.
Yeah.
So hopefully I think that's happening actually pretty soon. So maybe from Gorak's perspective, maybe they have sort of exhausted a bit of the American market. So instead of doing new styles, we just got to get the current styles cheaper for Europeans.
That will
Asian
help
and
a
other places.
lot.
Now, Greg. Oh, for sure. Now, Greg, because people in Europe, they want the Gorak style, but when you're paying $500 for a backpack, it's definitely tough. Greg, do you guys have Gorak at Suburban?
Yeah, we do actually carry Gorak. Well, not a lot, but we do carry Gorak, and I think I do agree with Bo that the product line might need an upgrade, or they might need to try on different. I think they did try it actually on small packs, not on a mass market level, but I think there are new products that came out. It's a tough question. I mean, yeah, the market is moving very fast. I'd say if coming into like GR, they definitely does have a fan base, but like what Bo just mentioned. If they're not into Gorak if they were not into Gorak, since day zero, for them, the product doesn't actually speaks a different, I would say. I still love Gorak. I had the Dynamo Gorak myself. I've been using it, for trips to humid places, because it's simply just better to use it during trips to Vietnam and stuff. But
For sure.
yeah, well, it's well, I'm not sure if I can say too much about this topic. Right? It's hot
Well, I
headed.
think
But yeah,
I think
but
on
I
that.
I love Go Rock. I'm a Go Rock user. Well, my staff do rock as well. My staff do use Go Rock on rocking as well. And
That's awesome. I've been wanting to try go rucking, Greg. So maybe I'll shoot you a text and see when your staff's doing it next, and I'll come join you. I'm probably gonna get my ass handed to me, but I want to give it a shot. So are they really good at rucking?
well, I mean, to be honest, I think rocking, like the whole Go Rock is all about rocking. Actually, in the States, I would say is the
Yeah,
fan base would, like, they're not a product oriented brand. I would say is Go Rock is more, rocking is more like a um, an activity in the States. I say I'm not 100% sure, but this is what I get from the community, that rocking, the community of rocking is actually, there's a great number of people rocking in the States. It's just not in Hong Kong.
for sure. Well, hopefully I'll add one more person to the list rucking in
Yeah,
Hong
well,
Kong
I
because I
can I
definitely
can
want
throw
to
you
try
an
it.
invitation. There's this group going on, Go Rock Hong Kong or something, and they earn patches and on
Well,
the rocking.
Well, that's perfect because after Chinese New Year, I'm gonna be stuffing myself with so much delicious food. I'm gonna need to burn off some of that weight.
Right, right.
And on that note, I got a Chinese New Year dinner I got to run off to. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining this podcast, Greg. It was so awesome having you for the first time. There'll definitely be more invitations coming down the line. Your unique perspective is just awesome to hear.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and being invited to this is my first podcast of my life, so this is my first experience, and I was Aaron and Bo, definitely super excited.
Awesome,
The
dude. It
the
was
day
the
you
first.
invited me,
It,
I went crazy. I tell everyone, I tell Taylor, I tell everyone that I know that I'm gonna have a podcast with Bo and Aaron.
It was great meeting you, Greg. It was so fun
Pleasure meeting
talking.
you.
Yeah.
Yes,
It
I'm
was
a
your
big
first
fan of your
podcast,
videos.
Greg, but you were a pro, dude. It was your first, but it felt like it was much more than that. So we'll have you on again, Bo. Thanks again for your time, dude.
Of
We'll be
course.
chatting soon. Anybody who's still listening to this, thank you for watching, for listening. Any of the bags that we mentioned today, there'll be links to in the description below, whether it's affiliate links or reviews that myself or Bo may have done. And yeah, I'm Aaron. We're with Bo and Greg, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you
Thanks.
so
Right.
much.
Thank you so much for your time. Catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.